So what happens when the seller backs out of the deal? Now, the MOU normally, or the Form F, it says, the broker typically takes in trust the deposit, sometimes from the sellers, always from the buyers. Then there seems not to be a full rule on this. I've seen situations where both put a deposit in, sometimes it's just the buyer. But I believe the principle is the seller's putting the property as the instrument, so therefore he's not required to put a deposit. But that's, please correct me if I'm wrong. But what you see on a booming market is a lot of sellers trying to get out the contract. What happens in this case?
So you're correct. Majority of times you see that when the price changes, that kind of motivates some sellers to not respect and honor their agreement.
Yeah.
Buyers, they always put a deposit check, and sellers, some cases, the real estate companies, they ask them to put a security check. But nevertheless, when this kind of event happens, seller will just back out and will stop communicating. And then next you see they're going to go and sell the property to someone else. So even before that, what I would normally suggest to the buyers is that try as much as you can to convince the brokers to take a security check from the seller, just to make the whole thing more legal. And you know better, yeah? If things goes wrong, the broker cannot release this check to the other party unless if there is a judgment from the court. And this is clearly stipulated in the agreement itself. So, but at the end of the day, it creates more seriousness from both parties if both have put their checks. That's number one. But if they have not done that and seller backs out, then the buyer normally has two options. Most people say only one. I would like to say two because I have experience in getting another option as well in this scenario. Option number one will be to file a case against the seller and ask the court to cancel the contract based on the default and get the compensation, which is the 10% of the selling price, the amount of the deposit check. That's doable. In most cases, of course, we have to read the agreement, examine all the clauses, make sure that it's a clear default or no. It will be very much detailed. I don't want to get into it. But if everything is in favor, then we can claim and get the 10% plus 5% interest, which is the legal interest. The second option will be to enforce the agreement and ask the court to execute the agreement and transfer the property to the buyer.
Okay.
So in some cases, the property value went up. The buyer doesn't want the compensation, wants the actual property.
Sure.
Yes.
Right? Because it's worth it for them.
Yes.
So then they come to us and they say that, no, we want the property and we will fight for that. In some cases, we can win that.